Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition and the word MacGuffin, and what the word MacGuffin's relationship to Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition should be for all Dungeon Masters. All right, so recently, this happened twice within the last 2 months. My kids were like, "Hey, Dad, what's a MacGuffin?" First, my youngest daughter asked, and then my youngest son asked. And my youngest son asked my wife, and so I came in on the latter half of the conversation. And it was really fascinating to me because I was like, so my youngest daughter said, "Dad, what's a MacGuffin?" Right? And I said, okay, here's what a MacGuffin is. Do you remember the Maltese Falcon? And of course, my youngest daughter was like, no. And I was like, yeah, Maltese Falcon is famous for having a MacGuffin, but what's a movie that you've seen that would have a MacGuffin in it? And I was thinking, and I was like, oh, I know a movie with a MacGuffin, right? And I said, Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? And do you remember Raiders of the Lost Ark? And she's like, yeah, isn't that where they get the Ark of the Covenant? And I'm like, yes. In that movie, the Ark of the Covenant is a MacGuffin, right? And she goes, so what is it? I'm like, it's the thing that the main characters in a story are questing to obtain. Okay? And I said, however, it is a problematic term, right? And I said, and the reason why is the only people who really use this word are people who think that the thing is interchangeable. And there are some writers who think the term is interchangeable. They think it doesn't matter what the MacGuffin is. It's just the thing that people are going to quest to get, right? And so basically, I thought it was really interesting just that, I thought it was interesting that my kids were asking it, and it really made me think a lot about the term MacGuffin, right? And the more I thought about the term MacGuffin, the more I realized what a MacGuffin is. The word MacGuffin is a thing. So here's where we are. Here's where we're landing. I think the word MacGuffin is a very special new type of word, okay? It has become this type of word. A MacGuffin is a swovel. What is a swovel? A swovel? Yeah, yes, it's a swovel. Now, swovel is a new word I'm inventing to deal with the word MacGuffin, okay? So I think the word MacGuffin is worse than useless. It is not helpful. It's saying, oh, it's the thing that the characters quest for, and it doesn't really matter what it is. You could replace it with anything. It could be a rubber duck, right? And I fundamentally disagree with this. I think so basically the word MacGuffin is simply a word being used by people who fundamentally either do not understand or fundamentally do not respect the writing process. Okay? And that's it. There you go. That's exactly what MacGuffin has become. It is a swovel. Okay? Now, why do I call it a swovel? Well, it's like a swivel, right? But it's a swovel in that MacGuffin does not identify the thing it's trying to identify. What MacGuffin actually identifies is what the user of the word is. The user of the word is A, ignorant of writing, B, disrespectful of writing, C, doesn't understand writing correctly, right? Or D, they've been horribly misinformed about writing. It's one of those four things. The item that your characters are questing after in your game is incredibly important. It was incredibly important in Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? The Ark of the Covenant allowed us to understand that Indiana Jones was a scholar who didn't believe in the reality of which he learned where it was quite real, right? So Indiana Jones was a scholar who didn't believe in God and didn't believe in the powers of God and thought that these were just myths and legends, right? At the end of the movie, he learns quite clearly that God is quite real, right? And that the Ark of the Covenant, when he opens, manifested massively supernatural powers, right? Like, that could not be explained by any of his science, right? There you go, right? It was outrageously important, exactly what it was, right? And if you replaced it with anything else, that story would not work. It would not be what it is. It would not have the power it has. The word MacGuffin doesn't really identify an item that the main characters are questing for, and that item is interchangeable. The word MacGuffin identifies a person who is ignorant about writing, disrespectful about writing, has been misinformed about writing, or doesn't understand writing. No good dungeon master should ever use the word MacGuffin or accept it or acknowledge it, right? And the other thing is, there are words that should die, and MacGuffin is a word that should die. Truly. It's not useful, right? Because we shouldn't have swovels. We shouldn't have words that, somebody uses and then you like put them in a box, right? And I'll tell you right now, there are words like that for me. If you use the C word, we are never going to be friends, right? That's enough for you. You use the C word that ends in a T, we're, 4 letters, we're out. We're done, right? We are never going to have 2 sentences strung together, right? Like, it's just, no, right? And like MacGuffin is different than that, but it's kind of similar. There are words that just there's no use for, right? MacGuffin has no use. It is a swovel. As a dungeon master, understand whatever your characters are questing after, it is incredibly important. And there are axes of interaction that come off of it. There are axes of exploration that come off of it. And this item is worth people's fictional lives. That's important. And it's not interchangeable. It matters. And if you don't think it matters, your game won't matter. And if you understand that the item your characters are questing after matters, then your game will matter. Well, that's my opinion. What do you think? Do you acknowledge the word swovel? What other words do you think are swovels? Right? Also, do you agree with me that the word MacGuffin can just blow away in the wind as chaff at this point? It's no longer useful. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.